So I just got back from the new Shang Chi movie, and I wanted to give you guys my own personal thoughts and opinions about the film without getting too much into spoilers, so here we go. I honestly didn't know too much about this character, to be honest. I never read the comic books, and the first time I even heard about this character, I think was at Comic-Con when they first announced that Simu would be playing this character that hasn't really been well known by the mainstream audience. So when the first trailers dropped a couple of months ago, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, and it was good to see a fresh new face. But the trailers really didn't blow me away. There was nothing in there that made me think that, hey, they were bringing back any of the old Avengers, and that this was going to be more of an origin story, starting from this character's beginning to where he is today. So going into this movie, I didn't have a whole lot of expectations. I try to stay away from the reactions and all different reviews and try to stay away from the internet as much as possible. So I go into this movie and 2 hours later I come out and I am just beaming and smiling. I thought that Marvel and Disney did an amazing job of introducing a brand new character to the Marvel Universe on film, and they just knocked it out of the park. There are a couple of different reasons why I think this movie works on so many levels, but starting with the casting choice, whoever was the casting director for this film, they did an amazing job. Simu Liu has been in a couple different films, but I think he's most well known for his lead role in Kim's Convenience, which I personally have enjoyed. But he brings such charisma and dedication and ownership of the role. Like, you truly believe his story and his character, and he just embraces it. He nails it out of the park. Awkwafina also, kind of brings that comedic element, but I mean, she's also done some pretty serious work in The Farewell and obviously her work in Crazy Rich Asians. And so I think she is also kind of carving out her niche, but also showing her range and versatility in this film as well. You've also got Michelle Yeoh, and of course, I'd be amiss if I didn't mention, Tony Leung, who plays Shang Chi's father. I mean, he brings such gravitas and conviction into his role, and he literally just acts with his eyes. I mean, I've never seen another actor who does it so well, maybe except like Al Pacino, where he literally communicates his emotions and his feelings and his actions through his eyes. And so every time Tony Leung is on screen, he just literally owns that real estate and makes you believe whatever he's saying or whatever he's trying to communicate. So I thought the casting job was fantastic. Most of the cast is Asian. There are a couple non-Asians, but everyone knows that they're in a Marvel movie, so they don't take themselves too seriously. But in those moments where you do need to sell it to the audience, whatever emotion you're experiencing, everyone is bringing their A game. Beyond the casting, the story, I think, is one of the best in recent memory when it comes to Marvel films. Shang Chi, I believe, it's almost like a hybrid of like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, with some of the older school kung fu karate movies, those stories where you had the father and the son. And I would also kind of throw maybe Dragon Ball Z into the mix. It mixes all these different fantasy and action and traditional sort of themes into this movie, but it just works. I mean, for the most part, right? Now, there's a couple of things that I'll nitpick on that I'll cover later on in this video, but for the most part, all these things just line up and it just creates a positive energy that you feel throughout the film. Not to mention that, but also the tone of the film and the pacing just works, right? This movie is a little bit over 2 hours, but it just flies by. And the tone, while it can get dark at times, most Marvel films, I think, does a great job of sort of balancing the serious moments with the action and the comedy. And I think Shang-Chi does a wonderful job of creating that balance and giving you a story that you can totally believe in. One thing I think this movie did really well also is there's a lot of flashbacks in the film. I'm not going to go into any details, but throughout the film, you see how Shang-Chi grew up. You learn about his family, right? His parents and his siblings, and what kind of conflicts that they experienced in the past that leads them to the conflict of the film and what they're experiencing and what they need to overcome. And the flashbacks work marvelously. I mean, they do such a good job of balancing that out without taking you out of certain moments. And it doesn't create a lot of confusion. Like, I was following this film from beginning to end. There were no moments where I was like, wait, why are they doing that? Or this doesn't make sense. And sometimes in movies, when they do that kind of back and forth, you get that experience. Not here. Also, I want to mention the directing and the cinematography. The action in this movie is when it comes to Marvel films, I think Captain America: Winter Soldiers is up there. You've also got Civil War with some of the best action sequences in the Marvel Universe. I might have to put Shang-Chi up there as well. It is that good. I don't want to hype it up too much, guys, but I just want to let you know that brace yourself. It is awesome. And the camera work in this movie is so good where you can actually follow the action and it takes you right into the middle, right? The cinematographer does a great job of capturing certain angles or capturing certain moments that you've never seen before. There are some fight sequences in this movie that I don't think have ever been done before, and they are so beautifully shot and choreographed that I'm seriously surprised at how they were able to achieve some of these sequences. That's how good they are, and I'll leave it at that. The music, oh man. I don't know who scored this film, but there's a certain theme, a lot of percussion, there's a lot of string instruments, and also a lot of drums. So I think they've brought in a lot of traditional Chinese and Asian elements while also kind of mixing in more modern hip hop and R&B. But it works. It's a memorable soundtrack, and I think after this video, I'm gonna go back and listen to the soundtrack because it is that good. And they play the right music, I think, at the right time without really taking you out of the moments. So I thought that was also fantastic and also very well done. If I were to nitpick, there's no perfect movie out there, right? And Shang-Chi's not perfect, but it's pretty close. First of all, I wanna say that I don't think the trailers do this movie justice, right? If you guys have seen the trailers, if you're like me, you're probably like, yeah, it looks okay. It looks just like another Marvel movie, You'll go in and you'll watch it, and then, 30 minutes later, you'll probably forget about it. But the trailer, I don't think, shows you nearly 80% of this film. And maybe that's actually a good thing because they don't really spoil anything. A lot of movies these days show you pretty much the entire movie by the end of the trailer, and now you have to ask yourself, do I even want to go watch this movie? But I thought the trailers could have done a better job of maybe promoting some of the storylines and showing a little bit more about the character that I think would have done a better job at selling this movie. But that's a small little nitpick. The other thing that I'll mention is I do think the third act gets a little crazy. And I mean that in the sense of it, the first couple acts does a great job of sort of laying the foundation, getting you to buy into this character and getting you emotionally invested in Shang-Chi's story. But by the third act, it gets a little fantasy-like. And to me, it took me a little bit out of it. It was still very well done. I was still very entertained, but it took me a little bit out of it for a moment, but I was still able to enjoy it. I know Marvel, they have to cater to a lot of different audiences. For me personally, it just threw me out for a moment. But other than that, the movie is awesome. The fight scenes are one of a kind, and the special effects, the effects team deserves a lot of kudos for some of the effects that they were able to achieve with the battle sequences. And when Shang-Chi is fighting his father, or when his father is fighting other people, and you can see the force and the power and the strength of these rings and how much damage and carnage they're able to accomplish, it's something that hasn't really been shown on the big screen before. I hope the film does well. I mean, we haven't had a lead Asian actor in a superhero movie ever, or maybe in a very long time. I think we need to go out and support this film because I think films like this will continue to open doors for our community and our culture and give us the opportunity to share our culture and traditions with the rest of the world. For those of you who were thinking that after Endgame, the Marvel Universe is done, I don't think it's done. I think the Marvel Universe is in very good hands, and I will trust Kevin Feige and the team over at Disney to continue to produce awesome content like this. So that was my review on Shang-Chi. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a comment down below, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.